We're all ready for a second stimulus check deal, but then there's that one guy who's trying to ruin the party. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. Thank you for joining me for Evenings LALATE. Every evening at 6:45, a one-hour programming block that starts with the check at 6:45 and continues with EIDL. We have really big, massive news about the second stimulus check deal. Yes, deal. And certainly that real shocking twist from one guy who's trying to ruin the party. No one likes a party pooper, and his name is Mark Meadows. He's chief of staff to Donald Trump, and he really is trying to spin this discourse in a different way. And he's added with one other person, Mitch McConnell, who minutes ago was on the Senate floor and had incredibly untruthful remarks about the entire process that we've gone through. Let me get right to the details. Great news, as always. A second stimulus check deal is about to get formulated. Steve MNUCHIN, who's Treasury Secretary to Donald Trump, 24 hours ago, actually about a little bit over 24 hours ago, it was late yesterday evening, issued a statement to press that he and Nancy Pelosi together, not just him, but he and Nancy Pelosi, agreed that a second stimulus package deal will be reached this Friday. And that's a deal between him, Nancy, and essentially the White House and the Democrats, and that the bill will then be introduced, a revised version of the HEROES Act will be introduced to Congress shortly thereafter, and basically get vote by maybe like Monday or Tuesday and become law on Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday next week. Really, really great news. The news was basically backed up by the assurances and the motivation of other Republicans and Democrats who said, hey, we have to get a deal done Friday. Marco Rubio said there has to be a deal done this week. Corcoran out of Texas, Republican senator, said, hey, you have to do a deal this week. And what's going to happen to your check? So let me go over everything from your check to FPUC, hazard pay, and rent assistance. I have big updates across the board. I'm going to do everything in a very quick, short period of time tonight. First, your check. We've had confirmation there's going to be second stimulus check. We've had that for over several weeks, and we now know basically when you're generally going to get your check. That I detailed earlier today. First, the check will be $1,200. It'll be $1,200 to generally every individual involved. Yes, the Republicans initially proposed $500 for dependents. It looks like, we don't have confirmation, but it looks like they're off of that, and it's going to be $1,200 for everyone. So $1,200 for non-dependents, $1,200 for dependents, $1,200 for minor dependents, and $1,200 for adult dependents. A lot of people ask me to comment on other things that are out there. I'm not going to comment on other things out there. There's no $2,400 check. There's no $3,600 check. There's no $4,500 check. So there's a lot of stuff out there. I'm not here to comment on false stuff. God bless those people. It's untrue. There's only a $1,200 check. Now, understand, if you are husband and wife, you get a double check. It's $2,400, but an single individual does not get a $2,400 check. Next, when would you get the check, and how would you receive the check? You'll receive the check in the manner in which you receive the first stimulus check. You'll receive the check in the manner in which you receive your benefits if you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits. And if you receive them by electronic means, congratulations, because you will get the checks the earliest. The Treasury Secretary, MNUCHIN, confirmed yesterday that the IRS will be sending the stimulus checks out 7 days after the bill becomes law. Repeat, 7 days after the bill becomes law. Not 7 days after Steve and Nancy announced their agreement on Friday. Not 7 days after the Congress starts to vote on it on Monday. 7 days after the president signs the bill, which would be about Tuesday or Wednesday. So mark your calendar. Okay, Ellen, I got my pen and paper. I'm marking it down. I'm going to look for my check that day. Now, I will say add 3 days for routing time because bank deposits take about 3 days for the bank to receive the funds into the bank account or to receive it on the debit card. So add about 10 days from the date you see President Trump signing the bill. If you're on paper check, I would add an additional week. Paper checks will come a little bit slower. If you're not on benefits, but you normally pay anything to the IRS by electronic means, they have your bank account or you provided the bank account for the first stimulus check, great. You're teed up to get that check early. That first 7 days after the bill becomes a law. Next, I got to answer this question because I'm still getting the questions about it. Child support. I don't have the answer for it. And when I do, I will. I literally am not behind the doors with Nancy and Chuck and Todd and Mark and Matt or Steve. There's another M in there. MNUCHIN. Meadows of MNUCHIN. I'm not in that room, so I don't know what they're saying about child support. And yeah, some of you keep on saying, it happened the first time. It happened the first time. No, this is different. The Democrats' bill, which is what we're working on, and this is really great news, says it will not be taken out for child support. Remember, and I'll get to this in a second. I'm not going to do the backstory yet, but remember, the only bill that this is going to be working off of is the HEROES Act. The Republicans' bill is just being tossed to the side. It hasn't passed anywhere. It hasn't voted anywhere. So they're working on revisions to the HEROES Act is what we're doing in this entire discussion. That's what they're doing in these negotiations. Next, hazard pay. Don't know. We really don't know. No updates about hazard pay. I got one really great comment, and you're going to laugh with me as well. Someone said in response to my video earlier today about hazard pay that the broadcast news reporters are not reporting on hazard pay because it doesn't impact them. Guess what it does? They get hazard pay. Yeah. News reporters get hazard pay. They get $10,000 if they made $100,000 or less last year, which they probably didn't. They probably made about $3 million last year, those broadcast news reporters. So they get a $5,000 hazard pay check. It's sort of ironic that the people that get hazard pay aren't talking about hazard pay. Yes, next FPUC, which is really where a lot of this discussion is tonight. Mark Meadows, who's chief of staff to Donald Trump, and got that position just this March. I mean, he's literally the chief of staff of the du jour, chief of staff du jour, pass the great boob on, is literally trying to run his mouth and make everyone very nervous. And I had some really nice comments from some people. I had someone in New Mexico, another one in Texas, and a third one, which I can't remember where. And they said, thank you, LALATE. My nerves have been really shot from this entire experience. And I really want to thank you for keeping me happy. I turn on your video immediately. I feel more refreshed and I'm no longer nervous. I really appreciate that. In the same regards, I'm going to tell you who's making you nervous. It's Mark Meadows. Turn him off. He's making me very nervous. Nervous and angry, I got to tell you. Mark Meadows is the chief of staff to Donald Trump. He's in that room negotiating with Nancy and Chuck and Steve MNUCHIN. Steve MNUCHIN has a very good respect from most people, including myself. Most of the times he has things right. Some of the times he's a little, screwy, but he's a smart guy. Mark Meadows, on the other hand, was described by Associated Press as a unsophisticated negotiator and inept in most of his skills. Associated Press called him that. And so he's not doing very well in that room with Nancy, according to Associated Press, which reported that he's being eaten up alive. So guess what he did? He came out and issued some statements minutes ago that basically said, nothing's happening, there's no deal, and guess what? I'm going to have the president order everything done the way we want to have it done. What? Yeah, so he's like the little guy that doesn't have his way and starting to threaten people. I don't like him, and I don't like his remarks. I don't personally know him, but I just don't like how he's handling the situation. So what happened was today they had their 2-hour meeting, again, their 2-hour negotiation. I don't know if it was chicken or fish in the room, but it was some type of food served. And when they left, he was running his mouth again. And he said, there's no agreement, and guess what? If we don't have an agreement, the president will fix it right away. He said, if Congress can't get it done, the President of the United States will do it. Well, sorry, Mr. Meadows, it doesn't work that way. The report went on to say the president doesn't have the inherent authority to do certain things. Now, the president does have authority to do certain things, but it's not going to be fast enough. For example, Meadows was referring to FPUC. That's $600 from the federal government. The president has been literally all over the place with FPUC today. If you recall, on last Friday, I reported that the president said, I'm going to give you $600 a week. I'm going to give you $600 a week because Nancy and Chuck won't give it to you. Well, Nancy and Chuck are proposing $600 a week in the Heroes Bill all the way to January. So, I mean, that was really great news. It was just name calling. But it was great news. Everyone was on the table for $600 a week. Middle of the week, the president told Steve and Mark Meadows, offer Nancy and Chuck $600 a week for 1 week. Nancy and Chuck said, no deal. Well, that apparently sort of went here and there. I still reported that it's going to be past the $600 a week. Well, apparently a new report minutes ago say the president offered quietly, and doesn't want to admit it, offered $400 a week to January 2021. This is a new report. On Tuesday, the Trump administration team offered to extend extra federal unemployment insurance into December at $400 per week, NBC News and Politico reported. This is sort of, it's divisive under his own negotiation, Meadows' own negotiation, because one day he's at $600 a week, now he's at $400 for several weeks. None of this is working because Nancy's not moving. She's saying, I'm not moving on $600 a week. So then Meadows comes out and says, you know what? We're going to use executive order and do what we want to do because Nancy's not cooperating. Well, here's the problem. It's not going to work. The president cannot order states to issue you money. Ultimately, $600 comes from the federal government. It's not coming from the coffers or the bank accounts of the state government, of the state authorities. It comes from the federal government. That's why it's called FPUC. But it's sent out from the states. Now, the president could order the Treasury to send you $600 a week. There's a problem. The federal government doesn't know who's on unemployment in every state. The state unemployment agencies have that database. So ultimately, he could have done this had he had gotten cooperation of the states, which he doesn't, and done this several weeks ago. But to think that he can get $600 out to people next week from the federal government that doesn't know who's on unemployment, the states know it, it's just not, it's hot air. It's simply nothing. Now, the president can order other things. He can order an eviction moratorium on a federal level. He absolutely can do that. He can order, he can order no employer to employ people unless they provide hazardous protections in the workplace. He can do those kind of things, but he can't order states to send you to do things per the federal order. And the law also says that the federal government cannot order the disbursement of federal by executive order, cannot order the disbursement of federal funds. There must be an act of Congress for that. What's going on elsewhere? Well, when we get to eviction moratorium, and you watched my video about 5 minutes ago, I was a little bit nervous about that as well. There was that strange report that came out today that said eviction moratoriums have progressed in the negotiations and that there was an offer to do it for federally backed buildings only. I'm like, what are you talking about? Now, I was nervous when I saw that, but here I'm more comfortable because more reports now suggest that MNUCHIN and Meadows offered to extend the eviction moratorium into December. Several news outlets are now confirming. So there's no restrictive thing that the building was only a Freddie or Fannie Mae backed mortgaged building, or it's a federally subsidized building, that it was not only for certain types of tenants. That was very scary when I saw that report. So that's really great news. MNUCHIN and Meadows have offered for eviction moratoriums to December. So what's causing the heated discussion, as someone once says in the quote? Well, there are several things that are holding up the negotiations. And among them were, for example, the post office. The Democrats had asked for $25 billion for the post office for relief. They got $10 billion from the Republicans. They actually even brought the Postmaster General Louise DeJoy soup du jour, into the meeting to help negotiate it out. There are other issues that still revolve, that still are very big ticket items, that are how much money is going to be given to states, how much money is going to be given to schools. Those issues appear to be what's really causing the delay in the agreement. And ultimately, it's not the $600 a week. It's not the stimulus check. It's not the eviction moratorium. It's these other things that press doesn't talk about as the lighting gets dark and light and dark and light. If you don't know, it's just the sun keeps on setting, and then he comes back. He's like, the sun's like looking over, like, are they going to give them the eviction moratorium? Oh, let me leave. Wait, are they the sun wants to see what's going on. And here's the backstory. You're all sitting here as I am, nail-biting, wondering what's happening on Friday. Well, here's the backstory. Where do these senators go on Saturday? Yeah, we call it vacation. But where they're really going is they're going back to their home state to campaign for their re-election. And none of them want to go back to their home state, where a lot of them are in jeopardy of not being reelected, without a deal. They simply have said, we can't do that. And so they've told Mitch, there has to be a deal. You'll kill all the seats of the Senate. Everyone will flip. Everyone will lose their Senate seats if we don't have a deal. Marco Rubio is among those that is very worried. We have to act. We have to do something, Marco Rubio. And that will require us to vote for a bill that has things that may not be necessarily correct. Marco Rubio says, I don't want to give as much money as the Democrats want to give, but you have to get this going. You have to include certain things. And so what's happening is that the issue of timing for their stupid reelection apparently is what's causing the deal to get made. Yeah, I'm not happy to say it that way, but it's the truth. Ultimately, your ability to make rent, your ability to stay in your home, your ability to pay your electric bill, your ability to put food on the table for your family is the top priority. But their motivation is to get it done because they're afraid that they're going back to their home state on Saturday without a deal, and they're going to lose the election. And that's why they want to do a deal, not because of you. Ultimately, we really don't care. So long as you get the money you're entitled to, we'll remember them in the fall election, and we'll just clearly take good care of them, won't we? More than a dozen Republican senators earlier on Wednesday said they backed an extension for U.S. money for FPUC, but understood that others were not. And then there's this. This is really where stuff is getting really quite screwy on a Wednesday afternoon. Part of the stimulus package, your check, is being held up by what? Yeah, you may have heard it a second ago. Airlines, planes. Those airlines got billions of dollars the first stimulus package. And what happened with that stimulus money? Well, they were supposed to spend it on you to keep you on the job. They didn't. They laid you off. And guess who was most angry about that? Steve MNUCHIN, the Treasury Secretary to Donald Trump. Just days ago, he said, how dare you lay off all these people? I'm going to maybe even consider having you pay the money back. Well, guess what happened minutes ago? I can't say this with a straight face. President Trump had a press conference and said, yeah, I think we got to give more money to those airlines. Let's give them more money. Congratulations. I think it's very important that we keep the airlines going. Well, of course we have to keep the airlines going. We don't want to lose our airlines. If they're looking at it, it's like the Republicans or Democrats. I certainly in favor. We can't lose our transportation system. We have to give them the money. So just days after his own Treasury Secretary said, I don't think I should give you more money after you didn't use it to spend it on the employees, you used it to fire the employees and keep the money, the president came out minutes ago and said, hey, under a second stimulus package, let's give them some more money. Ultimately, the biggest thing is giving more money is not a bad thing. It's not giving enough money is the wrong thing. I have seen your comments and questions today, and they have been really inspiring. A lot of you have said, thank you for really keeping me motivated and positive and reducing my stress. And I have to empathize for you. We're all in a different situation. And some of you are very stressed out about the situation. Some of you are very nervous. And some of you say that whether it's a seal barking or, or a pelican walking down the walkway, something about the videos in this channel are keeping you motivated and positive, and I really appreciate that. Others are saying, why is there a different theme song? Well, there's one theme song for the morning, there's one theme song for the afternoon, one theme song for the evenings. And I'm here for you, and I understand that this is a process, and I hope you understand it's a process as well. The process is important to understand, and here is the backstory very quickly, very shortly. I want you to understand this. When these four people, Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, emerge from the holy room that they're in on Friday and say, "Hallelujah, we have a deal," and there's like a halo over everyone's head, that's not a law. That doesn't give you a check. That doesn't send you hazard pay money. That doesn't give you a protection for eviction moratorium. What that then does is it tees up what's going to happen next. And we have not been told inherently what's the deal, but we're to presume that Mitch McConnell has made an agreement that whatever deal is done in that room, that he will introduce to the Senate that deal and urge for that vote. We have to hope that's the deal, because basically he's not in the room negotiating, Mitch McConnell. Two people are. They're both Republicans. Neither are senators. Neither are going to vote on the bill. They are parts of the Trump administration. And so if the agreement is hallelujah moment is on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, then the Congress will remain in session. McConnell, this is another update. McConnell has now confirmed he will keep the Senate in session along with the House, which Nancy already confirmed like 2 weeks ago. They will not go back on their vacation or their re-election bid or their, sipping Mai Tais or whatever they're going to do. They're going to stay there and they're going to vote on the bill. They could do the vote in 1 day. They could do it in 2 days. It won't be longer than 2 days, I don't think. At that point, the president signs the law. After that, everything sort of ramps up. I'm going to be here. I'm not leaving you. There's a whole process to get this money to everyone, and it's not going to be inherently that easy. With the stimulus check, it will. Hazard pay is going to be a hot mess express. Rent eviction and FPUC is literally going to be a fiasco. I want to warn you. You're not going to just wake up and FPUC is just going to be so punky-dory easy. It's going to be a mess. But you're going to get the money. You're going to get your money. You're going to get what you want. You're not going to be thrown on the street. You're going to have your relief. You're going to get that $1,200 for yourself, also for your children, and you're going to stay here, stay motivated, stay inspired. Subscribe to the front of this channel, hit the alarm so you get an alert when a new video goes live or a major update because Mitch McConnell had chicken for lunch, not fish, and stay with LA for more.